It was supposed to be just another quiet morning, the kind where the sky hangs heavy like wet cement and nothing feels quite awake yet. Not the people, not the streets, not even the light filtering through the smudged windows of Henry's Diner. A place tucked between a pawn shop and a dry cleaner on Vinaville Avenue in Mon, Georgia. It's not famous, it's not fancy, but it's home for some, especially for Clarence Dupree. He sits at the back near the window. Same booth every Tuesday. Back to the wall, army jacket folded neat against him, frayed at the cuffs, faded near the shoulders, but always clean. The jacket's older than the dishwasher in the back, and it's seen more than anyone in the diner could guess. He doesn't speak much, but when he does, his voice carries that kind of weight that makes people stop chewing, just for a second. A voice that says, "I've seen things and earned the right to silence." That's Clarence. Not loud, not flashy, just present, unmistakably present. The regulars know him. Harold, the gruff old owner, watches him like a father watches a son he doesn't say "I'm proud of" out loud. Carla, the waitress in her early 30s with 2 kids and a spine made of steel wrapped in warmth, greets him like clockwork. "Morning. Mr. Dree," she calls as she wipes down the counter. He replies, "Hey Carla, you got any more of that peach cobbler today?" Knowing full well it's a lunch-only deal. She laughs. They both do. It's a routine. Soft armor against the world. Outside, Clarence's breakfast is always the same. Scrambled eggs, grits, 2 strips of bacon, toast if it's not burnt, and black coffee. No sugar, no cream. Carla doesn't need to ask. Harold mutters to her from behind the register. "That man could run this place better than me with one hand behind his back." Carla nods. He's the reason I don't walk out of here some days. To the untrained eye, Clarence might look like someone barely holding on. No car, no fixed address, 1 pair of worn-out boots with the sole threatening to part ways any day now. But to the people inside that diner, Clarence isn't some lost soul. He's family. Quiet, steady, reliable. As he sips his coffee, black, bitter, honest, his eyes flick up to the diner TV mounted above the counter. A muted news segment about veterans not receiving their benefits scrolls across the bottom of the screen. He doesn't react, doesn't roll his eyes, doesn't shake his head. He just exhales through his nose, slow and deep, then looks back, out the window like he's watching for something most people would miss. Outside, the town is starting to stir. Students headed to Mercer, parents rushing kids to school, workers trying to beat the gate at Robins Air Force Base. But nobody notices the black and white cruiser pulling up outside the diner. No lights, no sirens. Just a slow arrival that feels routine, too routine. 2 officers step out, one tall and still built like he misses the high school glory days. The other, stocky, clipboard in hand, face tight and ready for confrontation. Inside, Carla spots them first, forces a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. "Morning, officers, usual table?" she asks, her voice just a little too bright. But they don't respond. Officer Langley's eyes are locked on Clarence. And just like that, the warmth in the room cools. The kind of chill you don't feel on your skin, but in your gut. The coffee's still warm, but something in the diner has shifted. Something quiet, invisible, but real. And nobody, not even Clarence, knows that this morning, this perfectly ordinary Tuesday, is about to unravel into something that will leave the whole country talking. All because of one phone call. The moment Officer Langley crosses the diner threshold, it's clear. He's not here for breakfast. He doesn't scan the room, doesn't nod at the staff, doesn't even glance at the menu. His eyes land directly on Clarence and stay there, like a challenge. "Sir," Langley says, voice clipped, body puffed with performative authority. "You a customer here?" Clarence blinks once, slow, like he's trying to figure out why this is even a question. Then he nods. "I am." Langley doesn't respond. His partner, Officer Rhee, steps in behind him, clipboard under one arm like he's about to conduct a building inspection. "You buy anything?" Rhee asks, tone skeptical, almost amused. "Coffee?" Clarence's reply is calm, level. Breakfast's on the way. Langley's glance shifts to the counter as if trying to catch a lie before it's told. You got a receipt? Before Clarence can answer, Carla steps up fast. He's fine, she says, trying to keep her voice even. He's here every week. I took his order. She smiles, small but firm, placing herself like a human shield between them. Langley doesn't look at her, just tilts his head slightly and says, Did I ask you? Carla's mouth opens, sharp breath, sharp retort on her tongue. But Harold cuts in from the back, his voice low and heavy. Don't, Carla. He knows the tone. He knows the risk. Clarence stays perfectly still, doesn't raise his voice, doesn't even shift in his seat. I paid, he says, eyes steady. She took the order. You can ask her. Rhys squints, unimpressed. You carrying ID? Slowly, Clarence leans back and reaches into the inside pocket of his worn army jacket. The motion is deliberate, non-threatening. He pulls out an old leather wallet, edges cracked and softened from time. From inside, he slides over a card, his VA ID. Langley takes one look, scoffs. This all you got? Clarence's eyes meet his without flinching. It's all I need. Rhys chuckles under his breath, flipping open his notepad like he's about to write down something worth laughing at. Yeah, he mutters. We'll see. The diner is quieter now, not silent, but that kind of strained hush that fills the space between slow-motion disaster and the moment people decide whether they're going to stand or stay seated. Even the clink of silverware sounds distant, like everyone's ears have tuned in to only one channel. This one. Rhys steps in a little, closer, arms folded, posture firm like he's prepping Clarence for a mugshot. How long you been here? He asks. Clarence glances at the clock above the counter. About 30 minutes. Langley tilts his head, eyes narrowing. And how long you planning on staying? Clarence doesn't blink. Long enough to eat? My breakfast, he says, his tone flat, like everyone else. Right then, Carla returns with the plate, scrambled eggs, grits, bacon, toast not burnt. She places it on the table with just a little too much care. Here you go, Mr. Dupree, she says. Her eyes flick toward Langley, a dare wrapped in hospitality. Langley raises an eyebrow. He already ordered? Carla doesn't flinch. He comes in every Tuesday, pays cash, always polite. He's a regular, sir. Rhys stares at Clarence. You homeless? Clarence nods slowly. I don't have a house, no. But I got a home in this town. Langley smirks. You got smart answers. Huh? Clarence doesn't reply. He just picks up his fork, starts eating. One small bite at a time, as if pretending this conversation isn't happening. But the diner knows better. Langley steps back slightly, hands on his hips like he's addressing a room full of invisible jurors. You see, this is the problem, he announces. People think they can just camp out wherever they want, take advantage of kind folks like you all. Nobody responds, not a head nod, not a murmur. At the next table, a couple look down at their plates. A delivery guy by the door shifts his weight from one foot to the other. Still, silence. Clarence finishes chewing, wipes his mouth with the paper napkin. Then softly, I served in Iraq. Twice. Came back, worked security in Alabama till my knees gave out. I get by, I don't steal, I don't beg, I pay for my food. He pauses. Not to be dramatic, but because it hurts to explain what should be obvious. So why? He asks slowly. Are you talking to me like I broke into somebody's house? Langley gives a dry chuckle. No humor in it. Relax. Just doing our job. Making sure everything's in order. Carla steps forward again, sharper now. Then check the register. He paid. I rang him up. What else do you need? Langley ignores her. Rhys flips the notepad back open. Name? He asks, eyes on Clarence. Clarence raises an eyebrow. It's on the card. I asked for your name out loud. Clarence exhales. Clarence Dupree. Date of birth? February 10th, 1968. Langley nods toward Rhys. Run it. Rhys walks toward the cruiser without a word, mumbling something under his breath. Harold finally comes out from behind the counter, towel in hand. "Officers," he says, "can I speak to you outside for a moment?" Langley barely looks at him. "We're good, sir." "No," Harold says, voice firmer. "You're not. That man has never caused trouble in my business. You got a real reason to be here, or are we just harassing veterans now?" Langley turns slow. "Sir, we're responding to a complaint." "From who?" Harold asks. Langley doesn't answer, just shifts his weight again, eyes back on Clarence like he's still waiting for the veteran to mess up. Clarence pushes his plate forward slightly as if to say he's done, wipes his hands on his napkin, reaches into his jacket again. This time, it's not a wallet. It's a phone. Old. Flip style. The kind most people haven't seen in years. The kind that doesn't track location, doesn't sync with Bluetooth, doesn't do anything except make phone calls. Langley tenses. "What's that?" Clarence flips it open with one thumb, presses a number. Doesn't speak right away. Just waits, lets it ring. Harold leans in, voice low. "Clarence." But Clarence raises one finger. "Wait." The line clicks. Then, calm as ever, he says, "It's happening again." And in that moment, without threat, without anger, without even standing up, Clarence Dupree shifts the air in the room. The power dynamic tilts. The silence that follows is no longer the quiet of fear, but the quiet of something about to detonate. Langley stares at him, jaw set. "Who the hell did you just call?" Clarence closes the flip phone gently, sets it down next to his empty plate. Then leans back in the booth, eyes steady. "You said you were just doing your job," he says, voice low and calm. "Now I'm doing mine." And outside, somewhere in Mon, Georgia, authority is already en route. The flip phone closes with a soft snap, like the sealing of a chapter. Clarence doesn't flinch, doesn't puff up, doesn't smirk. He simply leans back into the booth, steady as stone, his eyes locked on Langley. The entire diner seems suspended, like time itself is holding its breath. Coffee spoons hover midair. Conversations die in the throat. Even the radio behind the counter feels quieter somehow. Langley takes a step forward, voice tighter now. "Sir, I'm going to need you to stand up and come outside with me." Clarence doesn't move. Before he can respond, Harold steps out from behind the counter, fed up and unafraid. "No," he says, voice hard as gravel. "He's not going anywhere. Not unless you're arresting him." Langley's eyes flash with frustration, but before he can retort, Officer Ree returns from the cruiser holding a tablet. He's scrolling, trying not to meet anyone's eyes. "Name checks out," he mutters. "VA database confirms veteran status. Honorable discharge. 2 tours, Bronze Star." Langley doesn't blink. "He's homeless," he snaps, like that disqualifies everything else. "No fixed address, cited last year in Albany for loitering." The words land like accusations, but in the room, they sound petty, defensive, weak. Langley continues, pushing forward. Then he's a drifter. Doesn't belong sitting here all day taking up space. That's the moment Carla loses it. Her notepad slams onto the counter with a sharp thwack. "You've got regulars who sit here all morning nursing 1 cup of coffee and nobody says a word," she says, eyes blazing. "But you walk in here and single out the one man who's actually earned that right?" Langley turns, finger raised like a threat. "Ma'am, I'd advise you to step back." Carla doesn't move. "And I'd advise you," she fires back, "to stop confusing your badge with a crown." Clarence stays still, unfazed. His fingers tap the edge of the table, once, twice, 3 times. Not nervous, just tired. Bone deep, tired. "You see me as a problem," he says finally, looking straight at Langley. "But I'm not the one making a scene," Langley snaps. "That's it. Stand up now." Clarence rises slowly, taller than he seemed when sitting. Straighter, too, like a man carrying nothing he hasn't already carried through war zones. "I don't want trouble," he says, voice even. Langley reaches for his cuffs. "You should have thought about that before you got clever. He never makes it." Because in the blink between action and reaction, the front door of the diner slams open with such force the bell above it bounces off the frame and clatters uselessly against the glass. No one has time to turn. No one has time to speak. A man steps in, mid-40s, smooth navy suit, dark overcoat. No badge, no gun, but every inch of him radiates authority. The kind you don't question. He walks directly to Clarence's table, not even glancing at Langley or Rhee. In his hand is a small black leather ID case. He flips it open and holds it up. Assistant Director Mark Sorrell, he says. Department of Justice. Langley freezes, one hand still awkwardly hovering over his cuffs. His entire body tenses, as if his brain is sprinting to process what just walked through the door. Carla blinks. Harold lets out a long breath through his nose. The room doesn't erupt. It tightens. Sorrell's voice cuts through the air like a scalpel. Calm, controlled, cold. Officers, he says, I'm going to need your badge numbers. Right now. Rhee stumbles over his words. Sir, we were just responding to a... There was no complaint, Sorrell says sharply, cutting him off. We monitor certain keywords on open radio frequencies. This diner was flagged. You've been recorded from the moment you stepped out of your cruiser. He turns to Langley now, dead in the eye. You were in violation of protocol the second you began questioning a civilian without cause. This man is a veteran, not a suspect. Langley's face flushes a dangerous shade of red. With all due respect, you're not our supervisor. No, Sorrell says, stepping in closer. I'm your investigation. It's a death blow, quiet and lethal. Langley's jaw tightens, his hands curl. But he doesn't move, because he knows. Everyone knows. Clarence says nothing, doesn't gloat, doesn't even smile. He just sits back down, as calm as ever. Like none of this surprised him, because it didn't. Harold crosses his arms. Carla's eyes are darting between the officers and Sorrell like she's watching a courtroom drama unfold in real life. Langley looks around and realizes this room saw everything, heard everything, and now there's nowhere to hide. The worst part, Officer Rhee's body camera is still rolling, still capturing every flinch, every word, every silence. I suggest you both step outside, Sorrell says, still calm. Langley hesitates. For the first time all morning, he looks uncertain, not in control. Like a boy who just got caught doing something he can't explain to his parents. Rhee follows, shoulders tight, head low. They leave without another word. The silence left behind isn't relief. It's weight, the kind that makes you realize you've been holding your breath for far too long. Clarence reaches for his coffee. Still warm? Sorrell stays standing beside the booth, hands behind his back like a soldier. He leans in slightly, voice low enough for only Clarence to hear. You all right? Clarence nods once. Didn't want to call you. I know, Sorrell replies. But you were right to. Carla finally speaks, voice small with disbelief. Wait, who is he? Clarence glances up at her, tone as casual as ever. Friend from the old days. Harold raises an eyebrow. You got friends who walk in with a DOJ badge and shut down cops mid-interrogation? Clarence offers the faintest smile. Depends on the interrogation. Sorrell straightens, addressing Carla and Harold with formal courtesy. Apologies for the disruption, we won't be long. I need a moment with Mr. Dupree. Harold nods slowly. Say what you need. Coffee's on the house. Clarence shakes his head. Put it on me, I always pay. Carla smiles softly. Of course you do. Sorrell slides into the booth across from him, tone shifting. Less official now, more personal. Like two men who've seen fire and kept the scars secret. You sure you're okay? Clarence shrugs. I've had worse mornings. Had better, too. Sorrell nods. But his face is tight. This the third time this year, Clarence? Yeah. You want me to escalate this? Clarence is quiet for a long moment, then folds his napkin with careful precision, sets it beside his plate. Do what you gotta do, he says finally. I'm tired of explaining myself to people who already made up their minds. You shouldn't have to, Sorrel replies, voice harder now. Not after what you gave up for this country. Clarence doesn't argue, but his face shifts, something cold and ancient in his eyes. They only care when I'm in uniform, he says. Not when I'm sitting in a diner, just trying to eat. Sorrel leans back, exhaling. Those officers, they'll be suspended at the very least. Clarence doesn't blink. I don't want apologies, he says. I want respect. I want them to learn something that sticks. Sorrel pulls out his phone. The footage will be reviewed today. You'll get a call from Internal Affairs. Press will be notified. Clarence nods. Let them see it. Maybe next time they'll think twice. From outside, through the diner's dusty window, Ree paces near the cruiser looking dazed. Langley stands nearby on his phone, face stormy and pale all at once. Inside, Carla begins pouring coffee again, but her eyes flick to Clarence. She's never seen this version of him. No one here has. Because Clarence never needed to prove anything. Until now. 2 hours later, Henry's diner feels like it always does on a Tuesday morning. Forks scraping plates, coffee cups clinking against saucers, the hum of casual conversation bubbling beneath an old country song leaking from the radio. But there's something different. Not loud, not visible. Just a pressure in the air, like the room knows it's no longer anonymous. Clarence is still sitting in his usual booth, sipping black coffee like he always does. He hasn't moved much since the officers left, except to politely refuse Carla's offer of a fresh cup twice. But around him, people are starting to look. Longer, slower, a mix of curiosity and something new. Reverence. Hey, Mr. Dree. Carla leans in, half whispering as she tops off his cup anyway. You sure you want to stay put? Word's getting around. You got half the city whispering already. Clarence shrugs, not looking up. I didn't do anything wrong. From behind, the counter, Harold grunts. You didn't. But facts don't matter when people are hungry for drama. Clarence sips his coffee, gaze out the window. Then they better bring their own cup, he mutters. I'm not pouring it. That earns a soft chuckle from Carla, but it dies as quickly as it rises, because the bell above the diner door rings again. Not a cop, not a regular, not even someone stopping in for eggs. It's a teenage girl, hoodie up, sweatpants, holding her phone like it's the only thing keeping her upright. She walks right up to Clarence's booth, wide-eyed. You him? She asks, no hesitation. You're the guy from the video, right? The vet at Henry's diner? Clarence frowns, confused. How do you? She cuts him off, eyes lighting up with the kind of digital frenzy only Gen Z can conjure. It's all over TikTok. Someone posted the body cam footage, tagged the location. My brother's in college, he just sent it to me. Clarence leans back, jaw tight. That was fast. Fast? She laughs, incredulous. You're trending. Man, Twitter's lighting up, people are pissed. Those cops? Internet's dragging them hard. Harold wipes his hands on a towel and walks over, brow furrowed. Wait, who posted the footage? No idea, she says, thumbing through her feed. But it's got like 400,000 views already, in 2 hours. Carla crosses her arms. What exactly does it show? The girl turns the screen toward them. The body cam flickers to life. Langley towering over Clarence, the tension, the accusations, the quiet defiance, the phone call. Then the moment. Mark Sorrel walking in, calm and lethal, dropping the weight of the DOJ like a hammer. It plays out like a movie. No editing needed. Clarence turns away. He doesn't like watching himself. Feels like being peeled open. You're a hero, the girl says. Like a silent warrior kind of hero. There's even a hashtag, Jarker Clarence Dry. He shakes his head. I'm not a hero. You're not invisible anymore, she says softly. Then, just like that, she walks out. Carla pulls out her phone, starts tapping, then looks back at Clarence. She's right, she says. You're everywhere. There are articles popping up. A reporter from Savannah's already asking for an interview. Clarence sighs, long and tired. That's not what I wanted. You sure? Harold asks. Because maybe it's what we needed. People finally seeing what's been happening right under their noses. Clarence doesn't answer. His eyes drift to his VA card sitting on the table. That little piece of plastic never got him a job, never got him an apartment, never even got him a thank you when it mattered most. But now it's viral content, and that's a complicated kind of pain. But outside this quiet booth, the world is moving fast. By noon, Clarence Dupree's name isn't just circulating in Mon, Georgia, it's racing across national headlines. WRBL, the local station, picks up the footage, calling it a textbook case of unchecked authority. CNN picks it up before lunch. MSNBC runs a clip. By evening, it's everywhere, stitched into reaction videos, dissected by legal analysts and clipped into think pieces by activists and pundits alike. People want to know, who is Clarence Dupree? Where did he come from? What's his story? And they start digging. It begins with a photo, black and white, grainy, from somewhere in Fallujah. Clarence, younger but unmistakable, stands beside two other soldiers, gear heavy with sand, eyes sunken from exhaustion. The caption reads, Operative Clarence Dupree, Task Force Wolfhound, 2006. The internet doesn't know what Task Force Wolfhound is, so they dig deeper. It doesn't take long before whispers emerge of black ops units, covert missions, hostage, recoveries, sealed files, redacted reports. But veterans talk. Quietly, respectfully. One of them shares a commendation letter, dated 2007, addressed to Clarence. Most of the words are blacked out, but what's left tells enough. Courage, valor, multiple successful recoveries under hostile conditions. This wasn't just some vet with a bronze star. Clarence Dupree had saved people, dozens of them, but there are no speeches, no interviews, no medals on his wall, just a legacy sealed in silence. And suddenly this quiet man with a flip phone becomes something he never wanted to be. A symbol, a reminder, a wake-up call. At the diner, things change overnight. Carla's been interviewed 3 times. Harold's photo ends up on a local blog. Strangers show up just to sit in Clarence's booth. One guy even asks to take a selfie with the chair. Clarence shakes his head. I'm not an attraction, he mutters. You're a mirror, Carla replies. People just don't like what they see when they look in. And while Clarence may not care about followers or trends, the impact is real. At the Mon Police Department, things are unraveling. Internal Affairs opens an immediate inquiry. Officer Reed deletes all his social media. Officer Langley tries to make his profiles private, but it's too late. Screenshots of his old comments are already circulating. Racist memes, dog whistle posts, a Facebook thread where he joked about cleaning up loiterers. It's bad, real bad, the kind of bad that makes people ask how he ever got a badge in the first place, and people don't just watch, they act. By Thursday, protesters line the sidewalk outside the department. Not thousands, not even hundreds, just enough to hold space. A quiet row of people, some veterans, some students, some mothers with strollers, all holding handmade signs that say one thing: I am Clarence Dupree. No chanting, no yelling, just presence, just truth. Meanwhile, journalists start peeling back the layers. Turns out this wasn't Langley's first profiling complaint, or his second, or his 5th. Reports had been filed, then forgotten. Citizens wrote letters. Nothing came of them. But Clarence didn't write a letter. He made one call, and the whole tree came crashing down. By the weekend, Clarence Dupree has become a national name. He didn't ask for it. He didn't plan for it. But it happened anyway. TV segments, podcast features, think pieces. Calls come in from nonprofit groups, veterans organizations, reporters, senators' offices. One group offers to buy him a house, another promises a lifetime supply of meals. There's a GoFundMe with 5 figures and climbing. He receives a sealed envelope hand-delivered by 2 men in suits outside the shelter where he still sleeps. Inside is a letter from the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. It offers expedited housing, therapy, case management, apologies. Clarence holds the letter like it's written in a language he no longer speaks. "I didn't ask for this," he tells the younger agent. "No, sir," the man replies softly. "But you earned it that day." Clarence doesn't respond. That night, he lies on his cot, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the men he served with. The ones who never came back. The ones who did but were broken. The ones who died quietly in shelters, never trending. Never thanked. By Friday, the officers are suspended. Ree resigns. Langley refuses. But pressure mounts. Protesters remain. The union is distancing itself. Clarence watches the headlines scroll on a diner TV. Doesn't say much, doesn't smile. Just drinks his coffee slow. Then Sunday morning comes. No cameras, no news vans, no influencers trying to capture a moment. Just the regulars at Henry's, those who were there before all this and will still be there when the story fades. Clarence walks in wearing that same army jacket, same frayed cuffs. But something about the way he walks is different. Not taller. Not prouder, just anchored. Like a man who knows exactly where he stands now. Harold nods toward his booth. It's open. But Clarence doesn't sit. He clears his throat. At first, nobody notices. Then Carla turns. "Mr. Dree?" she asks, setting down a tray. "I got something to say," he replies, scanning the room. The diner falls quiet. Clarence breathes once, slow. "I'm not a hero," he starts. "I didn't plan to be a story. I came in for eggs and coffee like I always do. Like I've done every Tuesday for years." He looks to Harold, then to Carla. "Y'all never looked at me like I was a threat. Or a project, you saw a person." Then he turns to the others. "But some folks, they didn't, and now that video's out, people are paying attention. That's good. But attention ain't the same as understanding." Heads begin to nod. One man lowers his fork. Another woman dabs at her eye. Clarence touches his chest lightly. "I wore this jacket in the desert. I watched men I loved die in the dirt for a country that forgets us the second we take the uniform off." His voice doesn't shake, but it hits like a hammer. "I didn't ask for a parade, I asked for a seat. I didn't demand a salute, just a plate. And still, I had to prove I belonged." He steps forward now, eyes locking with each person. "There are thousands like me. You won't see them on the news. You won't hear their names. Some are homeless. Some are working jobs with busted knees and crooked backs. Some stopped talking because they got tired of being invisible." He raises one hand. "But hear this. Being poor isn't a crime. Being tired ain't weakness. And asking to be treated like a human being shouldn't be met with suspicion." Carla wipes a tear and tries to make it look like she's rubbing her eye. It doesn't work. Clarence smiles gently. "We all walk into places carrying stories no one else sees. So next time you look at someone and think they don't belong, maybe they do. Maybe more than you know." He nods once. Finally takes his seat. Nobody claps, nobody needs to. Because sometimes the truth is loudest when it's quiet. That afternoon, Clarence walks back to the shelter one last time. He packs his few belongings into a duffel bag. The key to his new apartment sits in his hand. Cold, strange, heavier than expected. Later that week, the headlines fade. Social media finds someone else to be outraged over. But Clarence doesn't fade. He plants roots. He settles in a neighborhood that sees him, where people knock to say hello, not prove something. He starts volunteering at a local middle school, speaking to kids, not about war, but about service. Not about survival, but about dignity. The teachers don't know how to introduce him, so they don't try to fit him into a title. They just say, "This is Mr. Dupree, you'll want to hear what he has to say." And they do, because now people listen. More importantly, they see. Final line. Not every hero fights to be seen, but when they are, they remind us how blind we've been.